There's a famous passage that says, it talks about the enemies of God making war on the Lamb, which is a title for Jesus in the book of Revelation. And it says, the Lamb will conquer them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. So a very important title. Again, most people are familiar with that. Jesus is the King of kings. And what that means in the reading for today is that he is the ruler of kings on earth. In other words, all of the kings of this world, all the presidents and prime ministers and potentates and kings and queens, they're all beneath Christ the King. He is the ruler of the kings of the earth. For the book of Revelation to call Jesus King of Kings in a first century setting would have had a particular connotation. It doesn't just mean that he's above all of the earthly kings. It's actually a little bit more than that. If you want to see this, you got to go back to the book of Ezra, because this expression, King of Kings, or ruler of kings, actually occurs in the Old Testament. In the book of Ezra, chapter 7, verses, let's see, where is this? 11 and 12. There's a letter from the Persian emperor, King Artaxerxes, to Ezra the priest. And listen to what it says. This is a copy of the letter which King Artaxerxes gave to Ezra the priest and the scribe. Quote, Artaxerxes, King of Kings, to Ezra the priest. All right, so pause there. Why does Artaxerxes call himself King of Kings? Is that just an honorific? Is it just some kind of grandiose title? Or does it mean something specific? Well, the answer is it means something specific. Because Artaxerxes isn't just a local king over a local tribe or a local city. Artaxerxes is the emperor. It's the Persian Empire. Just like you had the Babylonian Empire, you have the Persian Empire, you have the Greek Empire, and then you're going to have the Roman Empire. And the difference between a mere kingdom and a mere king and an empire and an emperor is that an empire is a kingdom that rules over other kingdoms. An empire is a kingdom that invades other kingdoms, takes over their territory, and makes them its subjects. So when Artaxerxes says he's the King of Kings, a legitimate English translation with that would be Artaxerxes the Emperor to Ezra the priest. Okay? All right, now fast forward back to the New Testament. When the reading for today from the book of Revelations calls Jesus the ruler of the kings of the earth, what it's essentially saying about him and what it would have meant in a first century Jewish context is that Jesus isn't just the Son of God. He's not just the King of Israel. He's not just King of the Jews. He's not even just the King of the kingdom of heaven. It's saying Jesus is the Emperor. It's Christ the Emperor, the ruler of the kings of the earth. So when we talk about the kingdom of God, this is so crucial. The expression basileia tou theou in Greek, kingdom of God, in context, actually could be translated completely legitimately as the empire of God. Because the kingdom of God isn't just a local kingdom, right? It is imperial. It seeks to dominate every kingdom and every king in the world and subjugate the entire earth to the kingship of Jesus Christ. Now, as soon as I say that, you might think, whoa, that sounds like colonialism, right? And you'll see there's lots of studies these days on colonialism and post-colonialism going on. And those studies are all being carried out according to earthly categories, right? But when we talk about the kingdom of God as an empire, we have to remember it's different from every earthly empire. For one thing, it's peaceful, right? In the way it conquers. It conquers through conversion. But in the second thing, it's ultimately heavenly in its origin and its nature. So at the same time, though, in the modern period, we just lose this. We forget this. One of the most explosive aspects of the early Christian message was that as the Christians were going out and proclaiming Jesus not just to be the Messiah, but to be the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, in a first century Roman context and a Greco-Roman context, that would have been a politically explosive message, because what you're saying is Jesus Christ, our King, the Messiah, is greater than Caesar. He's above the emperor. And his kingdom, unlike Caesar's kingdom, is going to last forever. It's going to conquer Caesar's kingdom. which of course, if I had more time, I could show you, is one of the reasons I would suggest that Peter and Paul make a beeline for Rome, so to speak, like why Rome is so important in early Christian missionary activity. It's not just because Rome is the central hub of the Roman Empire, and if you want to influence empire, you got to influence Rome on an earthly level. It's also because in the book of Daniel, chapter 2, the most important prophecy of the kingdom of God in the Old Testament, the kingdom of God starts off small, like a little stone, and it hits this idol, this statue made of 4 different metals at the base of its foot, right? And then it brings that idolatrous statue to an end, and then it turns into a great mountain that spreads throughout the earth. And this is an apocalyptic way. Remember, this is Daniel, an apocalypse. We're reading Revelation, also an apocalypse, of describing how the 4 great empires of the Old Testament, right, which are depicted through the imagery of gold, silver, bronze, and iron. So the Babylonian, the Persian, the Greeks, the Babylonian and the Medo-Persians, because they're together, the Greek and the Roman empires, they are going to be transcended and conquered by the 5th great empire, and that's the empire of God. This is what Revelation is assuming when it refers to Jesus as the ruler of the kings of the earth and King of kings.